If you buy the wrong stage piano, you won't notice it in your bedroom. You'll notice it on stage every single week when the Rhodes either fights your hands or disappear in the mix. Today, I'm putting the Yamaha CP88 and the Nord Piano 5 head to head so you don't make an expensive mistake. Today's test is a real test. Same parts, same volume, same rules, and I'm telling you exactly which keyboard you are hearing every time. By the end, you'll know which one fits your playing, your gigs, and your worship sound. This video is also a tribute to Ron Kenoly. Ron Kenoly's music shaped how a lot of us hear worship keys, and that punchy 90s tine sound, the rhythmic stabs, the joy. Today we're doing this shout out using Ron Kenoly style parts, and we're doing it properly. Alright, welcome back to PIANORD. Today is day 4 of this CP88 versus Nord Piano 5 series, and we are going all in on electric pianos. Rhodes and Wurli, Bark, FX and Fill. And quick note, this is not a blind test. I'm going to tell you exactly when I'm on the Yamaha and exactly when I'm on the Nord, because you're not here for guessing games. You're here to make a confident decision. Also, small request before we start. If you're watching on speakers, I suggest you grab your headphones for this one. The differences live in the mid-range bite, the trem movement, and the way the note decays. Therefore, headphones makes it obvious. Here are the rules so this stays honest. Same riff, same chord shapes, same dynamics, well, as much as I can. Levels matched between the two keyboards, as close as humanly possible. No sweetening in post, no fix it later EQ. What you hear is what the boards are giving us, and I'll keep the commentary practical. Not spec talk for the sake of it, just what helps you sound better on Sunday in rehearsal or on a gig. By the way, if you want to copy what I'm doing without pausing the video 100 times, I made a free PDF called the War Scorecard. It has the exact patch recipes I'm using today, plus a simple decision matrix so you can pick the right board for your style. It's free, you just drop your email and it sends instantly once you've confirmed your email address. Link is in the description of the video. And that also puts you on the list for PIANORD Academy when it opens, because that's where I'll go deeper with full patch builds, worship rigs, and step-by-step playing applications. Let's get started. What are we testing today? 3 tests. Test 1 is the bark. That's the moment the Rhodes goes from pretty to dangerous when you dig in. Test 2 is Dream, the worship layer sound, tine plus pad, where it has to bloom without getting cloudy. Test 3 is Grit, where it's a tremor, drive and rhythmic stabs. I will also provide information around the workflow, how fast you can get to a usable sound and adjust it mid-song without breaking the moment. And then we'll wrap it up with a few songs by Ron Kenoly and the final verdict. Good, let's go with the first test. Hearing the bark for the Rhodes snap. Before I play anything, listen for 2 things. Number 1, when you hit harder, does it open up smoothly or does it jump into the bark suddenly? Number 2, does the bark sound musical, like a real instrument biting back, or does it sound like a layer switching on? First up is the Yamaha CP88. We are going to use the Voice 75 RD Funky with a tiny drive engage. We'll keep it punchy and we'll just play a minimal ambience chord. In my case, it's going to be E minor 9. And we're going to start with a very low velocity, which the sound should be warm, dark, and we'll add crescendo over multiple bars, like 4 bars. So I'm going to start gentle, then I'm going to lean in. Listen for the exact moment it bites. Listen for the precise moment the bark layer engages. This should be a distinct snap on the Yamaha 75RD. Let's find the 75RD on the Yamaha. So now we're going to play a simple chord. Did you hear the snap? One more time. So very pianissimo. We'll start pianissimo in the beginning and apply crescendo. You heard it. That is the Yamaha story. It's got that aggressive snap when you cross the threshold. Now the same idea on the Nord. On the Nord we're going to use the EP9, the Stockholm sample. It should be a smooth timbral opening. Same chord, same build, just a different sample on the Nord. From pianissimo, crescendo to forte. Can you hear the opening? Now let's put it in a real worship context. That's where the bark matters. Because in a full band you need the keyboard to speak without getting louder, and the bark is one of the ways it speaks. We're just going to use the intro for the Ancient Days from Ron Kenoly. Now the same on the Nord. We had some stabs, we had a little push on the back end. What you should listen for was the growl and the way the attack pops. Now, here's what I'm hearing. The Yamaha bark feels explosive. You dig in and it jumps out, almost like it punches you. The Nord bark feels more control. It's just a smooth timbral opening, which you can easily miss. It's not shy, but it opens in a smoother way. And that can be a good thing if you play dense voicings and you hate the harshness. So the question for you is simple. If you're playing this in a live worship mix, which one would you trust more to cut without taking over? Drop a comment, Yamaha or Nord, and tell me why, because the why matters. Let's move to the next test, the worship bloom. Now we're going to the sound that makes half of the internet buy a red keyboard. That lush tine plus pads sound that sits under vocals and feels expensive. The test is not about who has the prettiest reverb. It's about harmonic richness and control. Can you play normally without the pad getting in the way? Then hold the chord to let it bloom. This test evaluates the bloom of the chords. To give you some context, I'm going to play a song in what's known as the soul key. The progression where you're going to be able to assess the sound is going to be a 4th major 9, a 3rd 7 alt, a 6th 9 and the 2nd 13. So once you hear that, pay attention. Again, what is it that you should listen for? The clarity in clustered voices. When I play the fourth major 9, does it sound like a complex, beautiful color or just a low rumble? How is the sustain? When I hold the chord, does the sound die away naturally, like a real vibrating tine, or does it sound static and looped? In terms of sample, I'm using the Nefertiti. The Nefertiti sample is legendary for its bell-like quality in the upper register and distinct lack of mud in the lower register. It is arguably one of the best neo-soul sample Node offers, along with Stockholm, the EP9, and the EP9, which is the most recent EP to date. So what my settings are on the Node, I have the samples Nefertiti loaded. Then I'm enabling the jazz chorus into the amp. The drive is 0 for it. And then I'm adding an effect of pan at the rate of 4, slow rate. And then a phaser, which is the rate of it is even slower, it's 1. So let's hear it. No EQ, nothing. Now the same on the Yamaha. Let's see how we can create that suitcase vibe on the Yamaha. We're gonna choose the 73RD darker Rhodes. It's a warmer, darker and creamier than the 75 or 78, and it is the industry standard for Neo Soul because it doesn't have that aggressive pug that gets in the way of smooth chords. And the Yamaha approach is more hands-on, so you can literally swell the pads with the knob while you play. So we're going to choose the 73RD, then we're going to bump the drive to 5, say maybe 7. We'll use the tremolo effect, and I've chosen a rate of 40 and a depth of 30. Switching off the reverb, I've added 30% depth and 40% rate, so a subtle slow pan. This creates that classical stereo movement without making you seasick. So now in the EQ piece for the Yamaha, I'm going to add a bit of body by increasing the bass with 2 decibel. I'm going to cut the boxiness to prevent that muddiness by cutting 3 decibels of the mids, and then add 2 decibels for the trebles to add air to the top notes. what are the results? Here's the real world takeaway. The Nord trem sound feels like one instrument to me. It seems like as if it's glued. The Yamaha drum sound feels like you are performing the layer. You can be a pro move because you can ride it in real time. So it's not just which is prettier, it's which workflow fits you. Do you want the bloom to happen automatically under your fingers, or do you want to control it like a sound engineer while you play? And a quick reminder, if you want the exact layer settings, not just the idea, that's in the free Touch War Scorecard PDF in the comments in the description. You can copy it and be done. I was about to do a Wurli test, which was about the gritty, mid-range, emotional sound. I'm going to summarize my thoughts around that and then play a couple of excerpts from Ron Kenoly's music in the 90s layer architecture. Here's my take on Wurli voices or samples. The Yamaha Wurli grit can feel very direct and controllable. The Nord, on the other hand, Wurli can feel very characterful, like it has a personality baked in. So tell me in the comments if you're playing this under a worship leader who likes to leave space when they're leading, which one would you rather sit on for a whole song? Yamaha or Nord? Good, let's move to the third test. I want to do one more tribute moment because Ron's music also had that joyful, fast, locked-in energy. This is not about showing off, it's about stress testing, repetition and clarity. Listen for clarity. Listen for where the notes blur together. The decay. Does the sound stay interesting as it fades out? The layering limitations. There are some hardware differences between the two boards. Nord can layer a Rhodes. Let's say on the layer A you will have the DX7 simultaneously with two piano engines. Yamaha at this point cannot layer two E-pianos voices. I mean like 78RD and DX7 because they share the same engine. You must choose one. And this highlights a major difference. The Nord can layer a Rhodes plus DX7. The Yamaha cannot because they are in the same section. On Yamaha you must commit to either analog or digital. In terms of musical context, the slow, crystalline, glassy ballad sound typical of the 90s Hosanna music, that's what I'm trying to achieve. On the Yamaha, I'm going to use the DX7 plus warm pads at about 50% with some reverb, time 3, and some chorus effects with a maximum depth on the DX7 only. On the Yamaha, we're going to use the DX Legend or DX7, and then at the chorus, get huge depth on the chorus. That's nice. Let's take off the tremolo. Let's talk about the Nord configuration. I'm going to use the EP8 in Nefertiti again, that woody option, and the pan's effect rate is going to be 6. We're going to choose the small effect for the amp, because it models a small tube amp, and the drive is going to be 3.5. I have the mid set to 800 Hertz, and we're going to give it a gain of 5 for the mids, cut through the mix, and no other changes. Bridge. So what should you listen for the note? You listen for the breakup. It shouldn't get louder when you push the amp up. Rather, it should distort slightly, adding that grit and dirt naturally without breaking up. Very nice. So let's disable the amp. And now add the layer of pads. Now I'm going to add the two layers that we've been talking about, the EP1 and the DX1, and a silk pads underneath. So let's hear the first song again with 3 layers on the note. Let's hear Be Glorified song by Ron Kenoly with all the layers on the note. So on the note, the last song, we had some EP1, the low dip that provides that warm body, and layer 2 DX effects with the chorus. And we played Be Glorified. The results, you get the physical attack of the Rhodes and the digital sparkle of the DX7. This is a clear win for the note in the 90s emulation for me. I've played also the accuracy, the speed in ancient days songs, and that tells a lot. Some actions make fast repetition feel like work. Some actions feel lighter, and but you have to keep your articulation clean so it doesn't smear. So whichever board you're leaning towards, pay attention to what your hands naturally want to do. In terms of the workflow, here's the honest takeaway. The Yamaha feels like a performance instrument. Everything is right there exactly, it's very intuitive. The Nord feels like a sound design instrument. It takes you a little bit of time to learn it, but it's still very intuitive. You can build these cinematic layers with the Nord and it can feel like sometimes cheating, but in a positive way, in a good way. Neither is better. They are different strengths. And that's actually why this series exists, because if you buy based on brand, you might end up fighting the board that doesn't match your role. I'm not going to redo the whole keybed episode. We already did that, but I will say this because it matters for electric pianos. On the Yamaha, you feel that weight. It encourages control dynamics. For me, the Yamaha, it's easier to control the dynamics with the Yamaha's keybed. It can also give you fatigue if you play very percussive parts for a long time. On the Nord, it feels faster and lighter, so there's advantages in there as well. And there can be a blessing if you are doing lots of comping, lots of rhythms. And if you want less fatigue, then Nord keybed would be more perfect. But when it comes to Nord, you may need to be more intentional with your dynamics so you do not overplay. And you need to adjust your velocity curves, for the keyboard response. That's the practical version. All right, let's move towards the verdict. Verdict time. But I'm going to do it in a way that helps you decide, not the way that starts arguments. If you are a pianist first and you want a board that rewards control, weight and consistency, and you love tactile knobs, you are going to feel at home with the Yamaha CP88. If you are a worship case player who layers sounds, builds atmosphere, and wants the option to swap and evolve your piano library over time, you are going to love the Nord Piano 5 or Nord Piano 6. You're going to love the Nord keyboards. Now the big one, bark. If you want bark that punches, Yamaha has that explosive snap when you dig in. If you want bark that stays controlled inside complex voicings, Nord can feel more refined in this area. In terms of trimming layers, if you want the pad to bloom like one unified instrument, Nord is ridiculous for that. If you want to perform the bloom and ride it in a real time, Yamaha is very satisfying too. Wurli grit, both can do it. Your ear will pick the winner here. What I would do in your shoes, if you're still unsure, do this. Think about your real life use case. Are you mostly playing alone at home, recording, layering, building textures, and you want lots of sounds shaping? Or are you mostly playing live in a band, making quick changes, needing reliability and fast hands-on control? The answer tells you more than any comment section. And if you want help making that decision in 5 minutes, that's why the War Scorecard exists. If you want the exact settings I use today, plus the decision matrix that makes this choice simple, grab the free War Scorecard PDF in the description. It's free, it emails instantly, and it also gets you on the PIANORD list for Academy. Because the next step is not just owning the board, it's sounding like you on the board consistently every week. If this helped, please subscribe, because day 5 is coming and it gets even more practical. One more thing, if Ron Kenoly's music impacted you, drop a quick comment, just his name or your favorite era or what those songs meant to you when you're listening to his songs. It's a small way to honor a massive legacy. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.